All right, we're on. Jessica Lomakin, is that how you say the last name?
Yeah, you've got it, Lomakin.
Yeah, Lomakin. How you doing?
Doing well this morning. How are you today?
I am wonderful. We've had a Lomakin on the group here before.
Yeah,
Uh, who's that?
that is my husband, Matthew. Matt, he's the owner of Redbird Armory here in New Bremen, Ohio. Um, he and I moved back here, gosh, it's been 2 years already, and he's definitely making a splash for himself in the business community. So glad you got a chance to talk to him too.
He is. He's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to firearms and all that stuff. Uh, so you're originally from New Bremen,
I am, yeah, I graduated from New Bremen High School in 2005.
and then you guys lived in Orange County for a while, California, and then when it was time to raise kids, you made that move back here.
100%. Yeah, I left after high school. I was 18 and I thought, if I'm going to see the world, now's the time to see it. I had some family in Southern California, so it was a great opportunity to go to school out there. I was out there for almost 15 years, obviously met Matt. We had our first child, and, we're kind of looking around at housing prices, we're looking at school options, and I'm constantly reflecting on my childhood in New Bremen and how that shaped me, how I developed, just being able to ride your bikes anywhere you wanted till 9 o'clock at night. And that was the kind of life I wanted for my kids. So we looked at each other and said, let's do it. We packed up the truck and out we came, and it's been 2 years already.
Yeah, we had kind of the same scenario. We were in Chicago. And
Yeah.
yeah, by the time we had our first baby, it was just like, okay, we need to go raise our kids somewhere else.
Right. This has been fun, but
Yeah, and we have free babysitting, families around here. So
exactly. Yeah.
perfect. Cool. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I am a political science major. I minored in philosophy, and I went to law school at Whittier Law School in Costa Mesa, California, and kind of just did general studies there, and then found myself working for a small boutique firm that specialized in trip and fall litigation. So people trip and fall on the sidewalk, they sue the municipality for their injuries, and I got kind of adept at working with municipalities and working in that sort of tort arena, personal injury for municipalities. And so with that, I just really fell in love with the practice of government work, working for cities and, defending taxpayer dollars and kind of keeping, those governmental decisions in mind, and the political nature of it. Being a political science major, I really kind of liked the policy aspect of it. So I ended up going to Chapman University, where I got an LLM, which is a master's of law in municipal representation. So I focused on things like land use, environmental practice, zoning. And from there, I got a job at a firm that I'm still with, Best Best and Krieger. They're a Southern California-based firm. We have just over 200 attorneys. We have some offices in Southern California, some in Northern California. We're also in DC. So I'm kind of a unique transplant here in Ohio, working remotely for them. But I'm now in of counsel with the firm, which means that I have a little bit more of an opportunity to kind of solicit my own clients and build my practice here in the local area. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm currently serving as a village counselor for the village of New Bremen, just kind of keeping along the lines of the municipal practice and the policy making. And that's kind of where I'd like to see my practice go, and kind of branching out into the employment arena, as obviously that's a really hot topic right now. Municipalities and small businesses alike are struggling with what to do and how to get the pieces back together. So it just seems like a good area to start getting my feet wet.
Yeah, so you have a hand in local government here, like New Bremen.
Correct.
And you also still work with your company remotely.
That's correct, yeah.
Nice. And are you, I'm pretty illiterate about the legal work. Are you, what should we call it? What is your title right now?
So my title right now is of counsel.
Of counsel.
Yeah, and so what that means is I'm not an associate, but I'm not a partner. I'm sort of a super senior associate, and have some, like I said, ability to solicit some of my own work. So I'm affiliated with the firm, but have some ability to solicit my own work.
Gotcha.
I am also a litigator. So that means when people get sued, I go to court and defend them. So that's my primary background.
So you have to pass your bar, and you have to, you're basically a lawyer, right?
I am a lawyer, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm licensed in both the state of California and the state of Ohio.
There's a lot of titles and stuff. I don't know which one's which. That's why I asked again. Okay,
Yeah. Good to be clear. Yes, I'm
all counsel, but are a counselor, attorney, like all those titles apply to you.
Correct. Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. And you also started pushing some content online. You do have, I think, a page that you're where you're like going live and doing all these webinars. Tell us a little bit about that.
So that's actually the group that I volunteer with. I'm vice president for a group called Women in Business, and we serve the greater Grand Lake area. It ends up being a lot of St. Mary's, Salina, some New Bremen, but definitely trying to expand our reach. But it really is focused on networking. We do monthly meetings, alternate lunchtime and evening time. Lunchtime meetings are kind of what we call our hard skills, you know, where we focus on things like problem solving in the business community, but our evening programs are more focused toward networking. So we also fundraise throughout the year for grants for women-owned businesses, small businesses, and then also for educational grants. And so we were proud to be able to give 2 of those away last year. We're working and doing our program this year to fundraise with the hope of giving away at least 2 more this year. So the webinar that we had recently was on professional dress. Typically, obviously, these meetings are held in person, but we've been kind of hamstrung by the situation. So we found ourselves for the first time online. And it was an interesting experience. We had great turnout. It looks like May's meeting is also going to be online. But yeah, it's a great group of women, really community focused, networking focused, and giving back focused. So I'm really proud to be a part of that group.
Nice. I was also going to ask you about the state of your industry, the legal industry. Like, tell us a little bit about how it was before COVID-19 and how it is today, and maybe what should we expect in the future?
Yeah, so it's going to vary tremendously, right? Depending upon the type of law that you practice. There are some attorneys that are, despite being essential, are essentially shut down by virtue of the fact that the courts are closed. Businesses are not making, big business decisions right now. People aren't, executing contracts. They aren't necessarily entering into agreements. They maybe are not inclined to sue because that costs a lot of money and initiating lawsuits is difficult. So a lot of the legal community is seeing a drop in business. Fortunately, because I work for municipalities, our business has stayed pretty steady because the governments are still running, they're still churning, and they've had a lot of questions obviously arising out of, what they can and can't do in terms of emergency orders and different moratoriums and things. So we've been pretty fortunate in that respect. As a litigator, the courts have been closed. Oftentimes you have to hold depositions where you have meetings with people face to face. You do mediations, arbitrations. All of that has come to a standstill, and we're having to get creative about how to do those things virtually. And that is a struggle because when you're in the room with someone, as you know, the dynamic can be very different, and you can be very subtle about body language and about tone and inflection, and you get a little bit of that on the camera, but it is very different, doing it this way. So just trying to control the circumstances when we do virtual things like that, I think is difficult, and making those connections that we need to make virtually is difficult, but it is happening. They're plugging along. I think in the future, despite the difficulties that the virtual platform presents, we're going to see a lot more of it because litigation is becoming nationwide. It's global, frankly. We've got more businesses doing transactions across the country or in between countries, and it's difficult to have people gather in a room together. It's hard to get dates together. So doing this, being forced to do this under the circumstances, I think is going to allow people to see that it can be done going forward. If you've got somebody in Arizona, you need to take their deposition, get them on the virtual screen and get the deposition done. You don't have to wait, 3 months to get the scheduling and get the person physically in the state in order to take their depo. So it's been some pluses and some minuses. I think people are always going to need legal work. They're always going to need professionals. So we're kind of insulated in that way. But it's definitely requiring some adaptation.
Yeah, I totally get it. I have talked with attorneys before or legal companies about like digital marketing, and I've always found some kind of resistance to that. Like,
right.
Legal companies were always, I could count like maybe 2 or 3 examples where they were really resistant to hopping on board of like the digital, thing. But from what you're saying right now, I see that things are like starting to open up a little bit, and they're starting to open their heart. Okay, maybe we should look at digital too, because
Right.
that's the new normal now.
Yeah, I think that that's sort of twofold. Attorneys tend to be a little bit old school. Just it's an old profession. You sort of have these ideals and standards of ethics, and you do have a code of ethics that you have to abide by. And so we're always a little wary about, like, how do you tread into this new area? But yeah, I mean, we're being forced to, and it's a positive thing because I think it only provides greater access to legal services. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, and it will make your life easier too because you work remotely.
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of been business as usual for me, which is a little bit strange.
Yeah. So, but you've started doing remote work before this whole thing started, right?
Right. Yeah. So I've been working remotely for about 2 years. I have been flying back and forth when I need to take depositions or be in person, but the courts offer court calls. So a lot of times when you need to make an appearance before the judge, you just hop on the phone, tell them who you're representing, because it's a lot of status conferences, maybe a little bit of oral argument, but you don't necessarily need to be present for that. So the courts in California in particular have been very impacted by just the litigious nature of greater populations and all the people out there, that they've recognized the need to allow for court call in the past. So that's just been a trend that has continued. Now the courts are closed and are not really doing court call currently. But yeah, I mean, that's how I've sort of conducted my business for the last 2 years.
Nice. Where can you practice? Like, can you practice in all states, or do you have specific states where you're certified, or what is the term?
Yeah, so I'm licensed. I'm barred in the state of California and the state of Ohio. So those are the only states where I'm admitted to practice currently.
Okay, but your company also works in DC, you said, Washington, DC?
We do, yeah. We actually have an office in DC, and we have some sporadic clients. I think we have some clients in New York State. Some of our partners do telecom work, or they do water law that's more national, focuses on federal law. And so you can be admitted into other states in what they call pro hoc vice, and it basically means for this case only, for this time only. So if you have a client that wants your representation in a state in which you're not licensed, you go to the court and you say, hey, I've got this client, I want to assist them, and the court will approve your application for this time only to represent them in that case in that state. So that sort of helps to facilitate the multi-jurisdictional practice.
But you can only do it once, right?
For this time, so every time you want to do it, you have to apply again.
Gotcha. That's still nice to have.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of impractical.
You're not reinventing the wheel.
Right. It's impractical to think you could be licensed in every state. And certainly we don't want to preclude clients from being able to select counsel of their choosing. And if their counsel happens to be out of state, the courts have recognized that they want to facilitate that. Gotcha.
That's nice. If it's one call away, that's pretty nice. And it opens up, your horizons, kind of like I can work with anyone in any state, basically.
It does, yeah, under those circumstances. And when you're a corporate, so I'm a litigator, that's how you do it in the litigation realm. In the corporate world, the rules are a little bit different. If you were an in-house corporate counsel, for example, you may or may not need to be barred in the state in which you're representing your company, if you're only working for that company, right? If that's your only client. There are some loopholes around that as well. So just kind of depends on your practice and depends on the laws of every state.
Nice. I'm learning a lot. I am. I've learned a lot from Matt. Now I'm learning a lot from you. Going back to women in business.
Yeah.
This is a local group. Mm-hmm. You've joined it when you came down to New Bremen. That's when you met them and started. And you guys, you said have like a touch point every week.
Every month. Yeah.
Every month.
Yep.
Right. And tell us a little bit about the activity. Like what do you guys do usually?
So we always have some sort of a speaker or a presenter. So in January, for example, we welcomed Representative Susan Manchester, and she came to talk to us a little bit about engaging with your government and how to use your legislators to your advantage, whether it's a personal hobby that you have or some sort of pet project or interest, or if you're a business owner and you want to be able to talk to your representative about, hey, this law is really getting in my way. How do I fix it, or how do I, bring that to someone's attention that this is a problem for this, small business, and here's why. So we're always trying to offer practical skills to our members. We're always trying to solve a problem for them. So like I said, January was Susan. We have welcomed Shelly Busey from AltSpace. She talked to us a little bit about personal branding. And next month, we're going to have Tess Elshoff with us. She's going to talk to us a little bit about how to overcome a challenge. So just always trying to solve a problem for our members, giving networking opportunities for our members. So it's a combination of that networking time and then the presenter time.
Nice. Yeah, I'm familiar with Shelly Busey. She's a powerhouse.
She is. Yeah, she's a good ally.
Yeah. If I want to, obviously I can't join, but let's say Samantha wants to join. Like, what are some of the criteria that you need to join Women in Business? There
are none. Come and join us. We don't have any male members. We're not open to male members. It is a female-only group, so that is one criteria. But we're generally catering towards someone who is in the working world in some capacity. That's not to say that if you weren't, you couldn't join us, to expand your network. But we really are more professional focused. There is obviously a recognition of family, but we are really driven toward the professional side. So a woman in the working world is really our target audience, and that's our only criteria.
Nice. I'm trying to pull up the group here. I think there's a Facebook page for Women in Business, right? I thought I saw one.
Yeah, Women in Business Ohio.
Right. Yeah.
Facebook page and a website.
Yep.
Don't ask me to recite the website off the top of my head. I don't know it. But search us on Facebook. It's definitely there, and that is definitely your best source for information. It's the most updated.
Yeah. Women in Business Ohio.
Yep, that's us.
Right. Let me just share my screen here so everyone can see it. Here we go. So this is it, right?
Yep, that's our website.
Okay. And people can come here, like if you want to join and fill out the form.
Yep.
And there's a board that looks at these membership forms, and then you guys make a decision.
Well, certainly anyone who was interested in being a member would be welcomed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Nice club.
It's a really great group of women with a really great mission. And beyond the networking, like I said, the real focus throughout the year is the fundraising for grants. So each meeting, we do charge a fee. It's $30 for the lunchtime meetings, or you can get an annual membership of $200. And obviously that covers the cost of the lunch. There's a lunch included, covers the cost of the location, the venue, but the excess funds all get dumped into the grant funds. And so, like I said, we gave 2 away last year, one to a female-owned business, and then I think one was to a student furthering her education. And so those are kind of our target grantees.
Nice.
Yeah.
Trying to find, let's see. You can probably help me here. I pulled a bunch of groups. Is it this one?
Oh, let's see here. So you're on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay, so Women in Business. None of these appear to be it. I would search Women in Business Ohio just to be a little bit more specific. There's, see, it's the second one. That's us. They're at the top.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. 737 members. Wow. Okay.
Well, yeah, I think our membership is actually around 20 or under the 20 mark of annual members, but we do have a lot of people who come and do drop-in meetings and haven't necessarily pulled the trigger on the annual membership, but that come in for the, meeting here or there.
You guys have a nice following, at least, like virtual following.
Yeah, that's our marketing team. They are spectacular. They know what they're doing. They're definitely pulling in a lot of people, and yeah, our following is pretty impressive.
Yeah, very nice. Cool. So what's coming up in women in business? This you said there was a webinar coming up.
So actually the webinar that I'm promoting is for my personal business.
Okay.
Women in Business, we will have our May meeting, and that's coming up with Tess Elshoff. She's going to talk to us about overcoming a challenge. So if you're interested in that, check out the Facebook. There'll be updates on there. It probably will be held virtually, unfortunately, but that's coming up. But the webinar that I'm promoting is actually on getting us back to work. And that's sort of just, it's going to be talking about Governor DeWine's orders that he's expected to announce today to get us back to work on Friday. I'm going to talk a little bit about best practices for social distancing and instilling employee confidence as well as consumer confidence to come back to the workplace. I think that's definitely a concern. I'm also going to address a little bit of HR, how to handle employee requests. I've been working remotely all this time. Why can't I stay remote? Things like that. And then I also just want to talk a little bit about potential liabilities and pitfalls and how to kind of avoid some of those things with my litigation background, just sort of some lawsuits that I could anticipate seeing and how to best insulate yourself from those things.
Nice.
So that's a free webinar that I'm hosting on Friday.
That would be great. We would love to have maybe it shared on our group because we get a lot of questions about, the legal stuff, especially HR, and you're pretty well versed in HR, so we could definitely use. I'm going to make sure and share it in the group so that everyone can learn from the webinar.
Yeah, please do. I think it was shared at one point last week, but we'll be doing some new graphics and posting some more stuff this week. So definitely continue to share it. It would be great for anyone who's in an HR or who is a small business owner and just doesn't know what are those next steps that they have to take to bring their employees back.
Yeah.
Get those doors opened again.
Yes. Can you give us a sneak peek on here? Like what to expect?
Well, so kind of what I talked about, just sort of onboarding. So let's say you have some furloughed or some laid off employees. What do you need to do to onboard them, get them going again? What do you need to do to get your workspace ready? Does that mean that you need to physically move some desks? Does that mean that you need to limit in-house meetings? Does that mean you need to continue to allow some of your employees to work remotely? It's going to be different for every workplace and for every industry. And then I'm really anxious to hear what Governor DeWine has to say today. I know it's going to be a slower rollout. So, what is he going to be allowing? What is he not going to be allowing? What is he going to be requiring? Are we all going to be wearing masks in the office? Do employers need to provide those masks? So those are some of the things that I'm going to be talking about.
Nice. He's going to talk today at 3 o'clock again, right?
I think 2 o'clock, unless it changed. Yeah, but he's typically 2 o'clock.
Yeah, we'll be on the lookout, and then
yeah, see what he's got for us.
Yeah, we can start the conversation and culminate it with the webinar on Friday.
Yeah, that would be great.
Right. Awesome. Cool. I asked you every question I had. Anything else you want to add?
Fantastic. Just that I'm really excited that you guys have started this Miami Valley business community. I think it's a long time coming. I've had a really interesting sort of realization as I've moved back here. My friends and family in California, why would you want to move back to Ohio? What are you going to do there? Who are you going to work with? Who are your clients? And what I've sort of realized is you don't have to be in a populous area in order to be successful. And in fact, you really have an opportunity to plant yourself and grow in a place like this where the market is not saturated. Everybody has the opportunity to go out and build a company of their dreams because you've got a lot more market space. So I just think that's really exciting. I think I'm really impressed to see the small business mindset that exists out here, and just really proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, I love it. And what I also love is everyone's on board now. Everyone's online. No one is saying, no, I don't do that, or that's not how we do it. No, that's not how we do things. No, everyone's on board. And I love, you guys are kind of pioneering. You and Matt, I see Matt every day now on Facebook. He's there. He's just pushing that content out. And you're doing the same thing on your end for your industry. So that's really refreshing to see, especially for a digital marketing person. Like you see that, yes, this is
like this is it. This is how it works.
We found it. Cool. Well, Jessica, thank you so much. That was really helpful. If there's anything else you want to add, I'd be happy to have you on anytime. If you want to, if there's more developments you want to discuss and you want to expand on, I'd love to have you back on the group.
Sure, that sounds great. I'll definitely keep you updated what's going on.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather.